Right.
So there's two players here. We'll start with one out of Chicago that we think people are very low on, and we are ourselves finding the opportunity to draft him at the ADP value right now, but we are also drafting him earlier than ADP because the scenario for him as the RB1 on his squad in Chicago is already there. He's earned it, and that's Khalil Herbert. He's been going in a lot of in sleeper drafts around round 9. If you haven't had a chance to watch our mock drafts that we did this previous week for our mockathon, go ahead and look. Chris was drafting Khalil Herbert in the ninth. Herbert in the ninth. That's his new team name. Khalil Herbert was a fantastic running back the past couple seasons behind David Montgomery. And anytime David Montgomery got injured, Khalil Herbert came in and he blew up 100-yard games. He has home run hitting ability, and that's what David Montgomery didn't have. And that change of pace for Chicago was great. But it just proved that if you look at the yards per carry and Khalil Herbert versus what David Montgomery did, I think you'll see that there was a great disparity, and it's not like they were running behind two different offensive lines. And I just think that the opportunity is going to be there. These teams are going to be scheming against Justin Fields, not against Khalil Herbert. And so you may get some more edge rush, pass rush opportunities where he hits the hole and the D end is passed, or linebackers behind him in the back already, and all of a sudden he's got wide open 6-7 yard carry before he gets tackled. And we saw a lot of that in this past year. Why do you love Khalil Herbert in these drafts besides his value?
Yeah, I mean, the value is just absurd because especially if you're going like 0 RB and you're looking for some late round running back value, or you're going for bench spots at running back. Let's look at the 3 guys above him in ADP. And let's look at the 3 guys below him in ADP. All right. The 3 guys above him are Rachaad White, DeAndre Swift, Brian Robinson Jr. The 3 guys below him are Antonio Gibson, A.J. Dillon, and Zach Charbonnet. All right. Of those guys, of all the guys I just listed, Khalil Herbert is probably going to command the most targets or the most rushes out of any of them. Now, I'll make the argument for DeAndre Swift because if DeAndre Swift ends up being the one and only guy there, then he's clearly in a better scenario and you can get him at a really good value. But he's another one where like the value is really good there. But Khalil Herbert going in the 9th round is like taking candy from a baby. The guys that are going around him in that scenario or in those rounds, you're not going to get a running back that has that kind of potency. When guys are snagging up like their first quarterback off the board or a tight end, you're going to be sitting there with Khalil Herbert. And again, like Jono said, this guy has home run ability. He's proven it in the short time that he's had. I mean, I know he's had some down games in there too, but when he's commanded 20 plus touches, he's had 20-point games, 150-yard games, multi-touchdown games, and he can do this. And we saw it on a bad team. Now, we all expect Chicago to be much better this year. Overall on offense, they're going to run more plays. And that was kind of the downside last year of the Chicago rushing offense, was that they just didn't run enough plays. There was like big play from Justin Fields. They scored a touchdown. There's constant 3 and outs or 1 first down series. I think they're going to sustain the ball a lot more. The rushing attack is going to be a lot better. Justin Fields is going to be able to open up the passing game a lot more this year now that he has DJ Moore. And it's going to open up more for Khalil Herbert to run. Now, and especially now with Deontay Foreman getting injured, I mean, I know Roschon Johnson should take some carries away from him, and that's fine. I mean, like we know that this is going to be he's not a bell cow. Khalil Herbert's not going to be a bell cow. But he's a guy that easily gets 60% of the workload in that backfield.
Well, that's what I'm going to say is so you take Dave Montgomery out of the picture and you put Khalil Herbert in Montgomery's volume and usage. Montgomery was around 65 to 75% of snaps last year. Khalil Herbert, when Montgomery was in and healthy, was only around as high as 40 at any point and as low as 28. So like he was around the 30-40 range. So you do the math. If you flip-flop, you give Roschon Johnson that workload there and you give the David Montgomery snap counts to Khalil Herbert, you're going to see a complete difference. You're talking about Khalil Herbert with 129 carries last year, had a 5.6 yards per carry. You could round up to 5.7. 4 touchdowns, 731 yards. David Montgomery last year had literally 71 more carries. He had a 3.99 yards per carry, only 800 yards and 5 touchdowns. He had 1 extra rushing touchdown. And Khalil Herbert did have a receiving touchdown. They didn't pass that much to the running backs last year because obviously Fields tucked and ran a lot. But if you just split that snap percentage up to Herbert and give the others to Roschon Johnson, who I think is going to be the guy you want to own as a backup there, even if Deontay Foreman is healthy, just because I think there's a reason they drafted this young buck. Herbert should flourish here. Like, you give him 200 to 220 carries, he's going to have a top 15 finish as a running back in this league, and you're getting him in the 7th, 8th, 9th round, depending upon where he is. If he's sitting there for you in the 7th round and you only have 2 running backs, this guy should be your 3rd. Don't look anywhere else. Hammer that button because there's a chance he's your flex player moving forward. And if you do have 3 running backs already and you're in the 8th or 9th round and he's still sitting there, this is not like, oh, I wonder what's wrong with Khalil Herbert. This is ADP is wrong with Khalil Herbert. And it's not on our side. If it came up to our rankings, he is up there a lot higher than he should be. And I agreed with the DeAndre Swift. To me, DeAndre Swift, he's the better athlete. He's the freak show, and he's on a better team. But again, you're talking about a team that doesn't pass that much to the running backs either. So how many rushing they may both equal the same amount of rushing opportunities. And Chicago, based on a 5.6 rushing average, it'll be neck and neck. And especially because I don't see as many rushing touchdowns in the red zone for Fields as you will see in Philly, because the body of Jalen Hurts is so easy to just plug it in within the 3 rather than Herbert. But to me, I think you can't pass up the opportunity on Khalil Herbert. His ADP is way too low. And for our cases in our draft, I hope it stays that way. And the same thing for your draft. You better hope it stays that way. And your league's not watching this, even though I hope they should. They should be liking and subscribing. But if they're not watching this, you've got an edge on them.
And if you draft Herbert in the 9th, that should be your team name.
Correct.
Herbert in the 9th.
He's a league winner. He's honestly a league winner in my opinion, because he's a guy that people are not drafting as an RB2 and will finish as your RB2.
Right.
And you'll be happy with it.